All right. Hey buddy, how you doing? Right, so I'm quickly gonna go over to here. Gonna have to jump back and forth for the chat, but all right, let's see what that looks like. Looks good to me. Hopefully you're on the right window. Yep. Beautiful. Now let's see if a few more people show up together. Oh, I know who you are, buddy. How you been? I know you got a job now, working at a bike shop, or that's coming in the spring. But today, after a few people log in, I got 3 people now, that's good. So basically what I want to run through is the cycle touring across Canada and just kind of make a free discussion about it. Maybe you're thinking about doing some cycle touring or bike packing. But just wanted to break down some of the do's and don'ts and look at all the rides on individual days and just see kind of how epic the trip was. So this is with my prior girlfriend, Marianne, and yeah, basically we're gonna go through day by day and just kind of see how this flows out. You quit that job? And no problem for recommending a different movie editor. So yeah, feel free to ask questions. Cycle touring, so basically gonna break it down from day 1 here. Let me scroll down a little bit this way. Okay, so day 1, I don't know why this is so out of whack here. Let's grow this back up like that. Hopefully that's better. Like I said, just let a few more people join, possibly. It's 4:30 on a Thursday in BC, so should be everybody getting off work right away. So I usually don't wait for people to join, but I'm thinking we might get 5 people or so. How can you guys hear me pretty good without? I got a microphone on, as you can probably see. Not a bad little thing. Got this nifty bike rack going on behind me. So today we're going to be talking about mostly this bike, riding across Canada. solid steel, $1,200 REI, or in Canada's MEC, Mountain Equipment Co-op bike, 1,200 bucks. Put some touring tires on there, which is like a semi knobby on the sides with the slick down the middle. I'm actually still riding one of the tires to this day. It's got around roughly 9,000 kilometers on it, so that's pretty sweet. I definitely recommend this tire all day long. All right, buying a new DH bike. That's awesome. This guy's the master mechanic, Canadian MTB. So right now it's my commuter bike slash gravel grinder. I'll take this bike pretty much anywhere. If I can't ride it, I can throw it over my shoulder and walk down if that's what need be. So how's the volume? Let me know, guys. I'm probably going to start talking here soon, just because we kind of have a lot to get through. So I'm going to shrink that even smaller. Maybe move it to this side like that. Okay. Sound is good. We all relaxing now. Raining, cats and dogs. Yeah, no doubt. It is pouring rain all day today. I just got back from the mall. Some last minute Christmas shopping. Heading to Arizona in 5 days. Probably going to be doing another binary bicycle bike check. So that's really cool. So if you didn't see the last binary bike check video slash ride video, check that out. I don't even know how to share the link to this on my Instagram. I wouldn't even know where to start with that. I'm not very technical when it comes to that. So probably at the 10-minute mark, I'll start talking. So I hope you guys are good. So yeah, we're going to be talking about bike packing slash cycle touring. To be honest, they're pretty much the same thing. There are some subtle differences depending on what you want to do with your adventure. So if you want to ride strictly trails and you may not see towns or stores for a long time, then it's going to be a little different than something like cycle road touring, where you're strictly on the road, and in a place like Canada, you have small towns with gas stations and things like that all the way across Canada. But you do and can end up living off of these gas stations. Okay. So the biggest thing is to get yourself some super waterproof bags. I do have some. I could run and go get them if somebody wants to see them, but oh yeah, I don't like riding in rain like this anyways. You get soaked through in like 10 minutes and then you're just wet, and then everything has to dry for 2 days. It's just not worth the time. Better off staying home, doing something like this, some video editing, maybe a little bit of stretching. Plus I'm working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, so yeah, we'll see at the 10-minute mark. We're almost there. We'll see what happens. So we'll start talking about the bike soon. I'm gonna go grab my bags real quick. Actually, no, I don't need to. I'm stuck. There we go. right, good enough. We'll let people come as they go. Come in, come as they go. Come as they want. Okay, so day one. I'm just gonna quickly run through some numbers, read them off to you guys. You can obviously see them on the screen as well. So day one, 42 kilometers, 260 meters. A great warm-up ride. This turned into pretty much 2 straight weeks of crazy mountain hill climbing, which you'll see in the next couple days here. All right. So Tofino to Euclid. So we started on Tofino, which is pretty much the most westerly point where people are kind of living in Canada. It's out on Vancouver Island, the very tip, as you can see in the picture here, all the way down to a town called Euclid. We were just testing out all our gear, making sure we were ready to go, get a little practice in, because we only practiced, to be honest, one time, and we didn't actually even set up our tent that time because we ended up getting a cabin for free that my cousin owned. So we didn't have to sleep in the tent, which we probably should have in hindsight, but everything worked out okay anyway. So Euclid, we met a couple from Germany there with some matching rigid Trek mountain bikes that were basically bike packing as well. From Germany, awesome couple, but only got to see them the one day. I think they were doing more trails than roads. Okay, day two. So like day two, starting off pretty heavy. 102 kilometers, 1,200 meters. So that's like 4,000 or 5,000 feet of elevation and about 60 miles. So lots and lots of climbing through the island, across Vancouver Island. Day after that, we had a place to stay in Parksville, so somebody was hosting us there. So a little bit shorter of a day, 70 kilometers. We actually went a little further in the first ride here than we initially planned, but we just kept pressing through because we felt good. And that's the biggest thing with touring, is like really going day by day and how your body is reacting to the riding, instead of trying to force it on days when you're not feeling it, and then cutting it short on days when you could possibly go longer. So just kind of go by feel and see where the next town is before you make your decision to ride another, let's say 40 or 50, 60 kilometers. So you don't get stuck in between towns, which isn't the end of the world depending on your style of camping and everything like that. Here I entered the climbing challenge, which I was pretty well ranked in during that trip. Here I had a little bit of Strava issues, as you can see. But 45 kilometers. This is part one of the day. We had to get on a ferry in Nanaimo, which took us to Vancouver. So this is my second time being in Vancouver. We just had driven through to get to Tofino. But this was the first time I ever came to Vancouver, and it was awesome. And that's what kind of sparked my interest to come out here. This is before I even had a mountain bike. Okay, a little day off there, cruising around. Okay, day 6, so Vancouver to Chilliwack, 104 kilometers, 415 meters. Hot, hot day. Let's see what this photo says. So this was reading 35 degrees Celsius, which would be around 100, if I'm not mistaken, 100 Fahrenheit. So hot day, as you can see. I mean, it took us like 5 hours to go 62 kilometers. Pretty rough day, obviously. This was also done with very minimal training. Okay, going to the bottom here. Another thing, Garmin failed, so I got some data off of Marianne. 57 kilometers in 3 hours. Here's a big one, probably one of the bigger days of the whole trip. Show some quick photos. I didn't shave this entire trip. There's some gnocchi, a little butterfly, some major suntan already. So 134 kilometers, which is about 70 miles. And I'm guessing, if as a quick math, I would say about 8,000 feet, which was 2,200 meters. 7 hours, 11 minutes, as you can see here. I'm here to chat, bro. And yes, I would definitely come back to Nelson. It was a little tough for the van. That's the only downside to Nelson that we noticed. It's so hilly there that it's hard to find parking for the big motorhome, which made it tough on us. That's kind of why we got out of there so quick, and we just had so much trip ahead of us. So that's my second time to Nelson. Loved the small town feel, all on a hill like San Francisco. I suggest anybody to go to Nelson. Crazy amounts of trails, crazy trails there, period. Lots of pro riders are coming out there, as you would know. Okay, so yeah, huge day here. 134 kilometers, 2,200 meters, 7 hours. So it was actually we did 2 mountains that day. I had some major knee pain as well. Not fun on that day. So Princeton to Osoyoos, so now we're getting into the desert. 113 kilometers, 834 meters of elevation. Just some nice orchards. It's all orchards, but if they didn't water everything, it would be a desert. Next day, cruising along the border, Osoyoos to Midway. So Midway is the actual middle of British Columbia. They have these statues at the end of the subdivisions on Anarchist Mountain. Our friends live in one of those neighborhoods, possibly looking at purchasing in there as well in the next few years. So great property on the side of a mountain for quite fair prices, because the company that was building all these neighborhoods went out of business. So you're buying the properties off the banks currently. So it's a really good deal up there on Anarchist Mountain. Check that out. So if we take a quick look here, there was some tough hills. So again, 7 hours to go 74 kilometers. 7 hour day, 4 hours and 34 minutes, 35 minutes moving. But so yeah, as you can see here, Anarchist Mountain on the map there as well. Switchback, switchback, switchback. That actually overheated the van when I drove up there this summer as well. All the way, and not even to the top yet. And the very top's right here, sitting at 1,200 meters elevation, 32 kilometers into the ride, then all the way downhill to Midway from there. It was great, 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 great. Oh, is it going to take me way back? Oops, sorry, it took me way back. Just got to get back on here. I guess I won't click, or I'll start new windows, new tabs to do stuff like that. Okay, moving on. Anarchist Mountain, that was a good one. 556 kilometers here. Met some guys cycle touring here as well. We met them on the other side of Canada as well after that, about 3 months later. Grand Forks to Castlegar, 102 kilometers, 1,400 meters elevation. That was an epic day as well. Really tough climb there. Looking at over 9% for a lot of distance climbing there, and then bombing downhill for like 45 minutes after constant downhill. Very fun, very fun. And our friends had a deer's living in his front yard. Okay, next week. So if you look at the top there, so now this is a 700 kilometer week. Good pal named Richard. If you're ever in Castlegar, if you're on warmshowers.org and you're cycle touring through Castlegar, Richard is the man to see. I've hung out with him a few times on my way through the mountains. I stop by his place, always say hi. Just a great old guy, and cycle tours a lot. Just rode across Canada himself this summer. When I stopped in there this year, he was cycle touring. Spruce Lake. I'd have to look up where that is. Where's Spruce Lake? I've heard of that. It's close by. Is it by like Alice Lake? Okay, Castlegar. What else do we got here? Nelson to Creston, another great ride. A long ferry ride included in that. Actually, the longest free ferry ride in North America was through the lake here, as you can see, just kind of going through the lake. But still worked out to be 1,200 meters. Ate a whole pizza to myself after. You can see the rain coming in, the sheep. Just really exciting photos. Like I said, we changed clothes like 4 times that day because it went from rain to shine, rain to shine. Yeah, amazing views through the valley there. Ah, above Pemberton, okay. That sounds awesome. Are you doing it on MTB or like cyclocross gravel grinder style? Are you doing paved? Are you doing, it's obviously trail probably if it's 3-day trip. Be half trail, half road or what? Let me know. Next one, 109 kilometers. As you can see, 1,000 meters elevation. Got some fancy food here somewhere at a restaurant. Oh, this was in, I should have read it first. Cranbrook. Great mountain biking there. Went there this year as well. Some nice mountain shots. The beard's growing in nicely. Next day again. Here we got Cranbrook to Sparwood. More and more elevation, more kilometers. So yeah, we're on day 17. We're just leaving the mountains now. You're going to see a lot flatter rides. Pincher Creek to Lethbridge. So again, now we're 100 kilometers, but 394 meters of elevation. So you can see flattening out indefinitely. So these 2 rides here were actually, I did in the same day. So this ended up being 211 kilometers, which is my longest ride to date in a single day. Rice for the win, brother. So yeah, this day was pretty crazy. We stopped and had lunch in Lethbridge, and we decided that we still felt good. We had a tailwind all day. Super warm out. Had a riding partner that we met along the way on the second half of the ride. So yeah, 311 kilometers that day. Big day on the flats. Through the prayers. Okay, Bow Island to Medicine Hat. Again, nothing crazy. Great host in Medicine Hat. Can help you with bike fitting, fixing your bike indefinitely. He's a master bike mechanic for the most part. This was a crazy day. We kind of made a bad decision. We decided, as you can see on the map here, to go south. We had a major headwind that morning, and it was getting to us mentally, so we decided to go south, thinking we might cross the border and ride through the States a little bit. But the wind got really bad, and then a huge storm came in. We actually ended up sleeping in a teepee that night. Rough night. The host that had the teepee took us down a little further south to this little tiny lake here, and got us some pizza, which was nice. So that was exciting. And then we woke up with a bird in our teepee flapping around, pooping on us. We set up our tent inside the teepee because it was like not a nice teepee. It was full of ants and everything. So we set our tent up inside as like a double rain shelter. But like I said, we woke up with a bird, a crow flapping around, squawking and pooping on our tent. So that was awesome. The next day, when we got closer to the border here of Saskatchewan, it was the first time I drank 2 full-sized monsters in about 10 minutes at a gas station. I drank one, didn't feel satisfied, so I went back in and actually drank another one. and was pretty much bouncing off the walls the rest of the morning. 170 kilometers, 600 meters, no gloves. Lots of pizza. We eat tons of pizza and pierogies and pasta. We can talk all about diet and stuff like that as we go, but there's just certain things you just can't cook that easily without bringing a lot of extra equipment with you, which can weigh you down quite a bit, especially for those few weeks before, or a few weeks in BC where it's really hilly and you got to push all that stuff uphill. It really adds up. It's a long story. If you're not, well, you are from Canada. I got a BP hat on. I'm a pizza guru. Been working at Boston Pizza my whole life, and I love pizza. It's just so easy to make, healthy and different. You can change it all the time. Just add different ingredients to it. It's basically just an edible plate, is what I call it. Again, cruising through the prairies, nice and flat, long flat days, as you can see. Major bike tan, cooking out there in the heat. Some of these days are reaching like 40 degrees Celsius, or like 105, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Cruising Moose Jaw to Indian Head, just like straight flatlands, construction, and busy highways, but overall pretty good. The construction really was the annoying part, but just because we had to sit and ride next to all the cars, but we did pass all the cars. Part 2, so this was again a 2-day ride, so 105 plus 50, so we're looking at 155 kilometers that day. Nice long days. That was my biggest week. Let's go back there for a sec. So 846 kilometers in 1 week. So that was the biggest week of the trip, as you can see. 34 hours pedaling and 3,000 meters elevation. Next, now we're getting into Ontario, which is basically like the forest of Canada. It's just solid trees, humidity, as you can see in the picture here. Lakes like crazy. So I'm going to go, to the bottom. We're still in the prairies, cruising along. Took a picture of some condom dispensers in the middle of nowhere for all the truck drivers. Oh, it's July now, so I've joined all the July challenges. That's what that is. Okay, still in the prairies here, cruising through. Yeah, we skipped Manitoba there, so that was Saskatchewan. Now we're coming into Manitoba. So again, super flat. Here's the Manitoba sign. All gravy. Got my little bicycle here in my hand. Manitoba. Manitoba is actually flatter if you actually look at the numbers across than Saskatchewan. Everyone makes a joke that Saskatchewan's the flattest place on earth, but Manitoba is actually flatter, in my opinion. Looks like my Garmin didn't work that day, but 107 kilometers, 120. So now we're looking at Canada Day in Winnipeg. There was a bank and a shipping container. It was Canada Day, and yeah, that's the city of Winnipeg. It's one of the coldest, most fluctuating temperatures in the planet. It goes something from like 44 degrees Celsius to like minus like 50 or something, like crazy. Coldest place in Canada, pretty much, and also one of the warmest in the summer. It's just, it would be a nightmare to live there, to be honest. Okay, so now we've left Manitoba. We're heading into Ontario here to Kenora, where we met my parents, who drove their motorhome to meet us in just past Kenora. And yeah, no problem, dude. You can watch the video after. It should be on YouTube as well if you want to come back and keep listening. Okay, so now we're getting into the like water everywhere, windy roads, and some weird spiky hills. Just because of the way the roads are there in Ontario, going around all the lakes and rocks, the roads are very windy, as you can see at the top here. Oh, well, actually, I gotta always go to the bottom. Sorry. Yeah, right in here. Look at this line. All the way through all that stuff, almost 1,000 meters elevation. So this is where we actually met my parents. We went, hung out with them. They brought their boat and their motorhome, hung out with them for 2 days, but had to keep going because we didn't want to let ourselves get too lazy because we'd probably stop. We would have ran out of energy and been like, it'd just be hard to get our momentum going, and we were just like cooking along through the country here. So we started June 1st. As you can see, it's July 6th now, so it's been a month and 5 days of pretty much day after day. Not consecutive. We did take days off back there, but for the most part, only a day or two off max, and we're back on the road again. So here's another long day with some longer hill climbs. Almost touched the American border right here in Fort Francis. More trophy things. All right. Oh, we've got 5 people here now. Welcome. So we're at day 33. We'll do a quick recap. We are 37 days into riding across Canada. We just got into Ontario, which is basically all lakes and weird hills and super hot with like 1,000% humidity. It's just the most disgusting thing ever. I wouldn't want to live there ever, but some people do. Actually, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people live out in the bush there, so all the power to them. Keep on going. As you can see, the beard's getting a little longer now. So I don't shave for the entire trip as well. 30 kilometers, 14, that was a long day. My Garmin was messing with me, so I have 3 parts to this one. So it would have been like 145 kilometers that day. 68 kilometers. We met some amazing people in Thunder Bay that had us over for about 4 days. It rained a bit. We met a girl who was walking across Canada. Took some photos here with the camera. Saw the Atikokan Falls is what those were there. And yeah, spent a few days. That's why the kilometers dropped down a little bit, spending a few days with new friends. Here they are here. So this girl, Sarah Rose, so she was walking across Canada as we were going through Ontario. Yeah, and so it took her basically 3 years to do what we did in 90 days, or yeah, basically. Our trip was 90 days exactly from start to finish, and her trip was 3 years almost exactly. And she left 1 year to the exact day, June 1st, before us. And then, so we met her 1 year later in Thunder Bay on July 12th. And then, yeah, it took her another year to finish the rest of this trip. So another long day in Ontario. Now we're starting to get hilly again, as you can see, 1,200 meters here over 108 kilometers. Not to mention, like, let's check out a temperature. Oh, I did that wrong. I'll have to go back. Let's check out the average temperature on a day like this. Where do I see that? Show more. Oh, that's not too bad actually that day. 21 degrees, that was a bit cooler. I'm gonna have to go back here, just give me a second. Nope, wrong year. There we go, and here. Okay, we finished that week. So yeah, weather from the 90s to 110s Fahrenheit, and that would be anywhere from 20 to 35, even 40 degrees Celsius some days. We were working our way from the bottom. So again, 100 kilometers, 82 kilometers, 94 kilometers. Just broke the 8,000 meters in 15-day mark. Another 130 kilometers in the 1,000 meters. And then just like that, beat the 1,200 kilometers in July by the 16th. Just getting those Strava badges. No big deal, whatever. Wawa to Montreal River. That was a rain day. That was a little rough, but we found a decent place to stay. And then we met a guy from Montreal who's a filmmaker. You'll see him. His name was Steven. I follow him on Instagram. But we rode with him for 2 days. So again, 116 kilometers. We set up tent. So that's Steven there. And then there was another guy here. He's not in the picture. His name is Bruce. So that's the third tent. And we met him originally on the Alberta border probably 40 days prior to this photo. And we met him again 40 days later in the middle of Ontario, still trucking along on his bike. And we had Steven with us, so we had the four of us going out the next morning. This was a nice lake. I actually have some family members that live in this small town. I don't remember what it's called. It's around Blind River. Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, Blind River. That's what it's called. So again, long day, 155 kilometers. Still felt good. Jumped in the lake after. They had ice cream, which is always nice. Next day, a little bit slower. Steven had broken his pedal off early in the ride. That's kind of why this day was a little shorter. Completely broke off his pedal. Had to ride this entire day that you can see here. 87 kilometers with one pedal. The other pedal was semi-working. Basically, the spindle had ripped out and he was just kind of spinning his leg on a loose spindle, and if he like pulled his leg away from the bike, the whole pedal would slide off the spindle and he'd have to like try to stick it back on. So he constantly had to hold his pedal on while he was pedaling. So he did that, got to Espanol. He had a host there who gave him kind of like a cheap Walmart pedal. Got that on his bike, and he rode the next day. He rode like 400 kilometers from Espanol all the way to Toronto, across 2 ferries, across the Manitoulin Islands, and all the way to Toronto. It was like a 12-14 hour day, and he hit like 400 kilometers or something like that in one day. So big shout out to Steven. He was a ex-amateur mountain bike racer from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So long story there. Here's a salty shot of my shorts. So that didn't happen too often, but for some reason the weather made us super salty, or something we ate made us super salty. Got a nice little curry rice dish again. Can't go wrong with rice on cycle touring. This will be one of those hot days right here. So again, 38 degrees Celsius, 132 kilometers. So we're sitting out there. So far we've been outside for 7 hours. 11 minutes in pretty much 100-degree heat. So your brain starts to go a little crazy, super dehydrated, trying to keep up with everything. Crazy. If you guys have any questions, let me know, drop it in. I did get a few Strava. As you can see, I got like a 10th place on this Strava segment. Not that that's a big deal. They probably only has 10 people that have done it because it's the middle of nowhere, but there were some decent times actually for having a fully loaded bike. There were some hills that I was surprised I climbed all the way up without stopping. Here, North Bay. I have a friend from North Bay. She works at Boston Pizza with me and my girlfriend. So yeah, North Bay. Had a host the first day. Second day we stayed at a campsite on this lake that had houseboats. Had a crazy big bug on my tent. This guy was like an inch long. Pretty cool. What's this say? Your appreciation of the arts will bring new opportunities. That's what my Jones cap said. Here, so this is leaving. Look at this. Look at this beard. This was craziness. We're looking at a month, almost 2 months in now. So 115 kilometer day, another long week, wrapping up at 786 kilometers and almost 5,000 meters elevation. Here was a slow week. Don't remember why. Oh, because we were in Montreal. That's why we were spending time in Montreal. I think we were there for four or 5 days. So we rode to Ottawa. Sorry, there was a couple days we stayed in Ottawa and then Montreal. So that made it a really slow week, as you can see. But again, 175 kilometers, almost 1,000 meters, 8-hour day from Pembroke to Ottawa. I do remember having a really bad headache that day, actually, to the point where I almost passed out while riding my bike. So that sucked. So here's the rig here. So that's a perfect example of what the rig looked like. Got my orange Crush, that's the name of my bike. Got my orange helmet. I did put a different derailleur on for this trip, so I had a 3x instead of a 2x. I got my 2 saddlebags. I got the tent right in the middle. I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but this is my tent. It goes out the back, and then I have my saddle on my seat. I don't know where this seat went. I think I gave it away. I was starting to have issues with my current seat for touring. My tailbone was starting to kill me to the point where I couldn't even sit down anymore. So I had to buy a new seat, but that was a game changer once I got that fitted in right. And then I had my gas tank bag here. As you can see, I kept all the weight on the back. It did wear my rear tire out a little faster, but nothing to be concerned with, and it just felt, in my opinion, it felt really good to just have the front end really light for making adjustments and turns when you're stopped and stuff like that. Your bike didn't, you can kind of control all the weight, kind of like a wheelbarrow, so to speak. It's hard to explain. But yeah, there's the rig in full swing, and then Marianne's bike is behind that with almost the same setup with a different bike. And that's us just, yeah, coming into Ottawa. So we spent a few days in Ottawa, and then we hit the, what do you call it? Quebec prairies. So they have tons and tons of cycle routes, hundreds of kilometers. This is part of the Trans-Canada Trail here. It would have been an old railroad track turned into gravel and bridges. So we did a little bit of that. These are all cycling guides to different routes all through Montreal and Quebec, the state or province. So that was just at the corner of the railroad tracks, telling you where all the different towns were. Just really cool setup for bikes, just outstanding. So 140 kilometers there. Then we got to Montreal finally, just rolling in. You can see Montreal here. We got the big globe. They have an island in the middle of their city like that with roller coasters, and they have I don't know if it's Formula One. I think it's Formula One, not NASCAR, track that you can ride your bike on. When the race isn't on, you literally ride across the bridge, go down off a what do they call those? Like an underpass or overpass. You go underneath, and it actually spits you out onto the racetrack with your bike, and then you can do as many laps as you want and go home whenever it's not race day. So that was really, really cool. Can't wait to go back to Montreal to visit. It's a neat city. Humidity is still insane. Remember, all this is hot and humid to the extreme. Let's go to the bottom here. Okay, Montreal to Trois-Rivières, which is 3 rivers. Here is a bike boat. So this is just mainly for bikes and hikers, but mostly bikers, to hop on these different ferries, and they'll take you different places, these 3 places here, with your pedal bikes. You don't need to ride the whole way if you don't want, because Montreal is right on the river, so they kind of get you from outside the city to downtown with a boat instead of like a train or a bus, or have you drive on the highway. They just get you on a boat and get you downtown on that boat. Very cool setup. Dairy farms. Here's my crazy beard face again. And yeah, just cruising through the country here. Okay, another one, 130 kilometers. Hedgehog and some random art and stayed at an artist's house. Apparently Trois Rivières, I don't know if it still is, it could be. It's supposed to be the cheapest place to live in Canada, so if that information helps you at all, so be it. Okay, now we're in Quebec City after Montreal. Again, beard growing like crazy. And Quebec City was pretty amazing. I'm excited to go back there one day as well. Ooh, here's a nice tough day here. 146 kilometers, almost 1,200 meters again. Now we're getting into a province called, not crap. I don't know if it's part of Nova Scotia? No, we're not there yet. I'd have to check into this. Let me look into this. I'm missing a province because I'm very, it's been a long time. Trying to remember the name of it. I feel like an idiot for forgetting, but so there's Montreal, New Brunswick, that's what it's called. So here we are. Going to start cruising through New Brunswick on to PEI, and then we'll keep talking about it. Okay, so we're into New Brunswick now. This is there's some gravel roads through here. Again, starting from the bottom, which we did. Sorry, my bad. So there, I got an 8th place on that segment. Who knows if that's good or not, but 146 kilometers, 1,200 meters. Another 100 kilometers the next day. Again, some Strava challenges, another 123 kilometers. Got some more podium-ish things there. Who knows if those are any good or not. Getting closer to the end of the line here. Fredericton, again, 120 kilometers. This looks like a hot day, judging by my face. Yeah, it looks like a really hot day. Sweating like crazy. Let's have a look at that day, actually. Let's check out the weather. Let's see the average temperature. Well, it says 22. But that does include some of the morning cooler temperatures. That would have got up really high. I thought they used to show better detail. Where do they do that? Oh, analyze this ride, right? Analyst. Here we go. There we go. Max temperature, 31 degrees right there. Long day. Average speed, 23 kilometers. Max, 63. As you can see, it gets hotter as the day goes on. You get some cold fronts and warm fronts for the temperature. So that was 120. After that, 162 the next day. No segments out there, I'm complaining about it. Getting back to the water. Boom, 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 another 140 kilometers. And then the next morning we woke up and rode our bikes to Prince Edward Island. So let's have a look at this map here. Just 80 kilometers. I think we did get some crazy rain when we got closer to town. So we took the ferry across, went out to this pier tip thing, and there was a lighthouse, which I'll show you a picture of. Had a quick snack there at a seafood whatever place. We had some like French fries, nothing too crazy. Then finished the ride out to Charlottetown, which is the capital of Prince Edward Island. So this is where most of the potatoes come from in Canada, is this island right here. Pretty epic day. This house was made out of bottles, glass bottles, as you can see here. Hockey fans, here's the lighthouse I was talking about. Ouch, I know how much those rides hurt. Yeah, we're getting there. Now we're going to the Cabin Trail, which was pretty insane in itself. Again, long days and some of the steepest hills in Canada, bar none. So 140 kilometers, 1,200 meters, 6 hours. So this is just leaving Prince Edward Island. Going back, now we're getting out there. Okay, 100 kilometers again. Stayed at a nice guy's apartment. He had a few beds and place. Oh no, that was the day. No, I got sick this day. And I took this picture of the ceiling. I don't know why. I was sick. Had a crazy headache. Just had to lay down at our host's house. I stayed in bed for probably like 5 hours. Oh, let's see. It says right there, headache all day. But they were nice enough to feed us dinner and all that. And then Marianne's friend actually came and picked us up that night because I was sick and she just wanted to get to Sydney. So we actually drove about an hour. It wasn't the farthest distance, but took about 100 kilometers off of us. And so we got to Sydney, and then we took a few rest days. And then we did the Cabot Trail, which starts here at 126 kilometers, 1,500 meters. Again, some of the steepest and longest hills in Canada by far. Something to do with them not freezing up, I believe, so they can put a steeper grade on them, or they shut the whole place down in the winter, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the two. Beautiful sunset. We got a motorhome. We got to stay in a motorhome that night. It was one of the... We were supposed to stay at a hostel, but they were full, and the owner of a restaurant we went into actually offered us this motorhome they had set up for their staff. And well, it wasn't a motorhome, it was more what they call like a fifth wheel or a trailer, but it was like it slept like 9 people or something like that. We had the whole thing to ourselves, and running water, electricity, and all that good stuff. So, and it was parked right on the edge of this cliff, looking out at the ocean, east coast of Canada. Next day, very steep, 1,200 meters, 72 kilometers. That's a lot of climbing over that distance. As you can see, I'm going to switch this to elevation gain. Let's see what that looks like. So the biggest week right here, yeah, 6,300 meters. So this road we basically had to hike up because it was so steep. It was called French Mountain, I remember, or North Mountain, and this next one was called French Mountain, but we just hiked up there. It was like 3 kilometers of pretty much straight up hiking. You can see, yeah, Marianne's way back there. Very steep, very, very steep. And then we got to bomb down the other side here. Amazing views, ocean. We ended up staying in a small town. I can't remember what it was called now. We stayed there. Marianne had a friend there. And then we went back to Sydney, looked after some dogs for a few days, and waited for our, what do you call it? We booked a ferry in advance, and it didn't leave till like Friday or something like that, so we had a few days to hang out. And then we got to the island, the other island in Canada, Newfoundland, and rode from Sydney, or got off the boat, and then rode to St. John's from the end of there. So let's have a look at that map. Oh, I got a 7th overall. Look at that. Hamilton Street. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, took the boat across, rode the rest of the way to St. John. I got a trophy somewhere in here. That's pretty cool. Let's have a look at that. 1 kilometer uphill. Let's see. So I was 7th then, now I'm 15th out of 30th. So that was just a little steep little road in St. John. Okay, and I gotta get back now. To the final week. Okay, then we rode around Sydney for fun, or the last day, sorry, we rode back 140 kilometers, 1,500 meters. That day hurt. It kind of was like the end of the trip almost, one of our last rides, so it's kind of getting to the end of the trip. So again, day off, 70 kilometers, just cruising. That's the crazy beard. That's how it ended up looking after 3 months on the road. Yeah, finished off there in St. John, and as you can see, I didn't even ride the next month, barely. A little bit in Edmonton, just went for a quick cruise with somebody, don't know who I did that with. And then, yeah, just riding out in the country, back home. It was a crazy summer. So if we go to the profile here, kind of doing this video for like a landmark. So I hit my 30,000 kilometers in my career here. So as you can see, biggest climb 1,200 meters, biggest ride 187 kilometers, just about to hit 900 rides in my career and 30,000 kilometers. So that's actually an average of over 30 kilometers per ride. So far this year, been taking it pretty easy. More mountain bikes, so as you can see, it's 40,000 meters climbing, but only 2,200 meters or 2,200 kilometers riding. But that was all mountain biking, quite different. Okay, so if you want to follow me on Strava, hit that up. I'm part of all the different clubs and whatever. I don't take Strava too seriously or anything. It's just a nice way to watch your results. So there's the beast in action again, gravel grinding here in Vancouver. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't know if any of you made it to the end, but leave a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd like to answer them. All sorts of tips for dieting and water and how to exert yourself in different locations along your touring. But most of the time you want to stay on the reserve side because you never know what could happen, and your day and your mood and your energy can change almost instantly. With even a flat tire can throw your whole day off mentally. So you just want to just take it easy. Give yourself lots of time like we did. We gave ourselves 3 months. We only rode for 71 days, which means we took 19 days off out of the whole trip. Days to kind of walk around, sit down, be sick and tired and whatever. Try to get our food back in and try to get the calories up. Some of these days, like if I go to the bigger mile days, you'll notice it was, sorry, like a day like this one. What's this? This is an average BC ride day. Let's see what kind of calories it said I burnt. Not that this is perfectly accurate, but I did adjust my weight for the bike a little bit. I think I need to go analysis again. Go to the bottom. No, that's not it. It's got to be a way to see calories burnt. Estimated calories. Okay, so 4,000 calories it's estimating. I think personally it was probably a little higher. I didn't have a heart rate monitor on. A day like this would have been pretty steep, as you can see. This, so it went from 30 to about, so almost 30 kilometers of climbing, just straight climbing, and then descending like crazy. But you're talking, let me see real quick. So that's at 2 hours to 5. So it's like 3 hours of climbing with like an 80-pound bike. Just not fun. I mean, we're doing stuff like things like this here, like this Paulson's Pass, 25 kilometers and 1,000 meters. So 3,000 feet over 15 miles. Stuck myself right in there at 128th place at 143 people. Not everyone was probably bike packing, obviously, but these are the kind of mountain climbs that we were doing for the first couple weeks going through BC. As you can see, if you know anything about Strava, these are all different category climbs. So the higher or lower the number, the harder the climb. So category 2 would be like semi-pro racing kind of climb. So again, these guys are doing it in 27 minutes, and it took me an hour and 40. But this is previous to the last one, or is this after? Of course, it's not moving around, but so this is just another climb that we did that day, 11 kilometers, 400 meters. Different parts of each climb. Just, yeah. Insane in the pain. So yeah, this was the top half of the climb. That's what that was. And then crazy descent. It's a nice morning jaunt along the lake, as you can see here. So we left Grand Forks, cruised Christina Lakes, very small town. It's just a nice lake. It's supposed to be one of the warmest lakes in Canada. It's built on like an open crack or something like that. So the heat from the earth actually heats this lake. We didn't get to go in it, obviously. We just kept on riding all the way to Castlegar, way over here. If you guys can get out and do anything like this, I personally suggest 100% doing it. Don't even hesitate. It's not as hard as it looks. I did it with little to no training. I didn't ride for almost 3 months before doing this, so I didn't ride for 3 months, and then I rode straight for 3 months across Canada. And yeah, I could have been fitter. This first couple weeks were a little rough. I had to get my bike fitted in a little better after doing miles like that I'd never done before. I found some tweaking that needed to be done because I was getting some knee pain. But I highly suggest you getting out there and cycle touring, even if it's on the mountain bike or something like that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a comment down below. Hopefully you made it through this video, or you kind of skimmed through and you got some points out of it, or yeah, you just been on your own adventure and you want to share some information with other people. You can drop that down below. Your biggest tip. Got this crazy hat on. It's not really fitting on me today. Where'd it go? There it is. But my hair is all crazy, so there we go. All right. So we'll see you guys in the next video. More cycle touring and bike packing in the future. Definitely, I'm saving up for a lot of things, but one of the things I'm saving up for is a titanium hardtail bike packing rig that we can go out on like 3-day epic adventures, bring you guys along with the cameras and do some nice editing for you guys, some crazy scenarios, and try to find some just adventurous trails out here in BC and Alberta in the mountains here, and to see what I can get up to. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I've said that 3 times, and I'll see you guys later.